What really happens after we take our final breath? Does the self dissolve into a void, or does it journey through realms beyond human comprehension? This is a question that has haunted humanity for as long as we've existed. Philosophers, scientists, spiritual leaders, and even ordinary people have all pondered the mystery of death. Is it the end? Or could it be a gateway to something far more extraordinary? Imagine for a moment that you had a map, a guide that didn't just prepare you for death, but led you step by step through every stage of the afterlife. One ancient text claims to do exactly that. It's called the Bardo Thodol, better known as the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and today we'll unlock its secrets. But this isn't just a simple guide to what happens when we die. It's a deeply spiritual, almost otherworldly roadmap that has shaped the way Tibetan Buddhists and millions of others understand life, death, and rebirth. What's inside this mysterious text? And how might its ancient wisdom change the way you view your own life? If you're ready, let's take this journey together. Because what we discover today might forever alter the way you think about what comes after this life. The story of the Bardo Thodol begins with one man, Padmasambhava. But who was he really? Some call him a mythical figure. Others a historical master of Tibetan Buddhism, revered as Guru Rinpoche, or the precious teacher. Padmasambhava was instrumental in bringing Buddhism to Tibet during the 8th century, and what he accomplished there was nothing short of miraculous. You see, when Padmasambhava arrived in Tibet, the land was steeped in ancient traditions from the Bon religion, a spiritual system filled with complex rituals, deities, and beliefs about the spirit world. These weren't simple superstitions. They were deeply ingrained in the Tibetan people's way of life. How could Buddhism, with this radically different philosophy, find acceptance in such a place? Padmasambhava didn't try to conquer or erase these beliefs. Instead, he found a way to integrate them. He used his profound knowledge of tantric rituals, magic, and spiritual insight to harmonize Buddhism with Tibet's existing spiritual framework. Legend has it that he even tamed the land's supernatural beings, turning former adversaries into protectors of the new teachings. But why did he create the Bardo Thodol? Padmasambhava understood a truth that still resonates today. Death is not an ending, but a transition. He wanted to offer a guide for souls on this journey, helping them navigate the terrifying and often bewildering experiences after death. Think of it as a spiritual GPS for the afterlife. Imagine knowing, as you approach death, that every moment, every vision, and every feeling had been mapped out centuries before. Wouldn't that change the way you faced your final moments? This is the legacy of the Bardo Thodol. But what exactly does it reveal about the afterlife? Let's dive into its first major stage, the moment of death itself. The journey begins in what the Bardo Thodol calls the Chikai Bardo, the stage that occurs at the exact moment of death. It's often described as a moment of profound transition, where the boundaries of life collapse and the consciousness is freed from the limitations of the physical body. Imagine your senses fading one by one. Sight dims, sound becomes distant, and your sense of touch disappears. As your body shuts down, your consciousness is released like a bird taking flight. You're no longer tethered to your physical form, and then you see it. The clear light. In Tibetan Buddhist teachings, this light is not just any light. It's the pure, radiant essence of reality itself, an infinite brilliance that holds no fear, no pain, and no duality. It's often described as overwhelming, yet profoundly peaceful. But here's the paradox. Most souls don't recognize it. Conditioned by a lifetime of fears, desires, and attachments, they see the light not as a part of themselves, but as something external, something terrifying. The opportunity for instant liberation slips away. So what about you? If you were faced with this clear light, would you recognize it as your true nature, or would fear push you away from it? According to the Bardo Thodol, those who fail to embrace the light must continue their journey into the next phase. And what comes next is both fascinating and deeply revealing. The Chonyid Bardo is a realm where the mind becomes both creator and observer of its own reality. Without a physical body to ground it, the soul enters a dimension of vivid, dreamlike experiences. But these aren't just random images. They're projections of the soul's deepest thoughts, fears, and desires. Have you ever had a dream so intense that it felt more real than waking life? The Chonyid Bardo is like that, but magnified. Here, peaceful and wrathful visions appear, each representing aspects of the mind. Enlightened beings may welcome the soul with compassion, while terrifying deities might emerge, wielding weapons and roaring with fury. But here's the catch. None of these beings are real. They're symbolic manifestations of the mind's inner world. The peaceful figures reflect qualities like wisdom and compassion, while the wrathful ones embody repressed fears and unresolved traumas. Carl Jung, the famous psychologist, would probably describe this as an encounter with the shadow, the parts of ourselves we try to deny or hide. The Bardo Thodol teaches that by recognizing these visions as illusions, the soul can overcome fear and move closer to liberation. But what if the soul doesn't recognize them? What if fear takes over? The journey continues, deeper into the cycle of samsara, the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. If you found yourself face to face with your greatest fears, would you have the strength to see them for what they are, mere reflections of your own mind? In that moment of fear, the soul faces a choice: be consumed by illusion or see it as a reflection of the mind. Succumbing deepens samsara, but awareness leads to liberation. In the Sippa Bardo, karma guides the soul toward rebirth. New realities appear, shaped by past actions. For some, it's a cycle repeating. For others, the clear light offers freedom. The Bardo Thodol reminds us, awaken in the unknown or remain bound to the cycle of life and death. For those who haven't yet found liberation, the journey leads to the Sitpa Bardo, the stage of rebirth. This phase is both profound and decisive. Here, karmic forces come into full effect. Every action, thought, and intention from your life shapes what happens next. The soul is drawn toward a new life, guided by its unresolved attachments and desires. Visions of union, often symbolic representations of human conception, appear, signaling the imminent birth into a new body. But this isn't a conscious choice in the way we might think. It's driven by deep instinctual forces. The soul is magnetically pulled towards circumstances that reflect its karmic imprint. It's as if the universe is mirroring back the lessons that remain to be learned. Do you believe that the circumstances of your current life were shaped by past experiences, possibly even from previous lifetimes? If so, how might that change the way you live now? The Bardo Thodol offers hope even in this final stage. Those who can maintain detachment and awareness may avoid rebirth altogether, merging instead with the clear light of ultimate reality. But for most, the cycle continues. And so, the soul is born again, carrying its karmic burdens into a new existence. The teachings of the Bardo Thodol are not just for the dead. They're meant to transform how we live. Tibetan Buddhists believe that by facing the inevitability of death, we can free ourselves from many of the fears and attachments that cause suffering. Spiritual practices like meditation, mindfulness, and self-reflection are tools for this preparation. By confronting our desires and fears while still alive, we weaken their hold over us. We learn to see through the illusions that would otherwise trap us in the bardos. Think about your own life. What attachments are holding you back? What fears prevent you from living fully? And what would it take to let them go? The wisdom of the Bardo Thodol suggests that the more we embrace these questions now, the more peaceful and liberated our transition through death will be. At its heart, the Bardo Thodol reveals a profound truth. Life and death are not separate. They are part of a continuous cycle, shaped by consciousness and karma. Death is not a tragedy, but a transformation, a chance to awaken to a deeper reality. Ram Dass, a spiritual teacher, once said, "When you die, there's only one question that matters. How much did you love?" Love, compassion, and awareness are the keys to transcending the illusions of both life and death. So how are you living right now? Are you cultivating these qualities? Or are you caught in the web of fear and desire? Perhaps the greatest lesson of the Bardo Thodol is this: by learning to die well, we also learn to live well. So what happens when we die? The Tibetan Book of the Dead offers a remarkable vision of the afterlife, one filled with both challenges and opportunities. It teaches that death is not an end, but a journey, one that can lead to either liberation or continued rebirth. But now, I want to hear from you. What do you believe happens after we die? Does this ancient wisdom resonate with you? Or do you have a different perspective? Share your thoughts in the comments below.